But we open this news hour with Syria and a development that could alter the course of the war. Some rebel groups have turned on Al-Qaeda-linked fighters. The group under attack, known as the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, has a presence in both Syria and Iraq, and it's facing pressure in both. But let's go to Syria first. Al Jazeera's Zeina Khodr is monitoring events from neighbouring Beirut. Zeina, we've seen protests which seem to be escalating on the streets. What are they protesting about and why?
Yes, protests are growing and becoming more widespread. Syrians taking to the streets in rebel-controlled territories in the north of the country. They are chanting slogans against the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, telling them to leave the country. They're actually comparing them to the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. People are growing really frustrated with the presence of these foreign fighters on the ground, because they're no longer just fighting on the front lines. They are taking territory, they are holding on to power, they are implementing a strict interpretation of Islam, telling women what to wear, telling people not to smoke. They are arresting, torturing, and even forcing secular opposition activists into exile simply because they are demanding democracy. For them, democracy is a foreign agenda. What they want is an Islamic State in Syria. So people increasingly frustrated, but it's not just protests. What we have been seeing over the past 24 hours is fierce clashes, battles between the Syrian armed opposition and Al-Qaeda-linked groups. We understand that the Syrian armed opposition has managed to push Al-Qaeda fighters out of a number of towns and villages, and clashes are still ongoing in a number of strategic regions in Syria. We have to remember that the Islamic State in Iraq set up presence in very strategic locations along supply routes from Turkey leading into Syria.
And the target of the anger, is it confined to the ISIL? And just to explain to viewers what ISIL is, it's an Al-Qaeda affiliate, is that right?
That is true. There is also another Al-Qaeda group in Syria. It's the Nusra Front, and the Nusra Front is mainly made up of Syrian fighters. We still do not know Nusra's position on what's going on at the moment, but an alliance of rebel forces came together under the banner of the Army of the Mujahideen, and what they said is that they're going to fight till the end. These foreign fighters have to leave Syria. They are causing insecurity and instability in rebel-controlled territories. We still do not know the position of the Islamic Front, which is the largest rebel alliance in northern Syria, the most powerful really, because if they join the armed opposition fighting against Qaeda, they could definitely tip the balance of power in favor of the Syrian armed forces. But the Islamic Front is in a very difficult position because a lot of its fighters do sympathize with at least the thinking and the ideology of the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, and maybe this is why they're treading carefully, saying that they want to resolve disputes in Islamic courts, that they don't want strife in liberated territories. But undoubtedly there is a turning point. We've seen rebels turn their guns against each other in the past, but this is the most serious violence between the armed opposition and Al-Qaeda.
Zeina Khodr in Beirut. Thanks, Zeina.